Shalom. This is Keziah Bat Yisrael of Israelite Heritage Women's Ministry, the Blessed Handmaidens of Yah Yahoshua. And today I have for the sisters a video lesson on the matter of chicken. And the reason I'm doing this video is because several weeks ago there was a discussion in the Blessed Handmaidens room about chicken and whether or not chicken is a clean and unclean animal, a clean, unclean food. And you had some saying it was clean, you had some saying it's unclean. And those that were saying it was unclean was saying the chicken is related to the buzzard. So I pray this lesson will shed light on whether or not chicken is a clean or unclean bird, a clean or unclean animal. Because some of you may not be sure what to believe, whether it's clean or not. So I pray that this lesson will, clear up the misunderstanding that some of you may have on whether or not chicken is clean or not. First, I'm going to start with chicken as far as just a brief description of the chicken and everything. So this next slide is I'm just going to read it. The chicken is a domesticated fowl, a subspecies of the red jungle fowl. As one of the most common and widespread domesticated animals, and with a population of more than 24 billion in 2003, there are more chickens in the world than any other species of birds. Humans keep chickens primarily as a source of food, consuming both their meat and their eggs. Chickens are omnivores. In the wild, they often scratch at the soil to search for seeds, insects, and even larger animals such as lizards and young mice. This is according to Wikipedia, and I just wanted to, give a brief description of the chicken. And I just also want to throw in that since chicken is not specifically mentioned in the scriptures as being clean and unclean, people feel that they have more grounds to voice their opinions and form their own little doctrines on chicken being clean or unclean. So, but hopefully this video will present facts and show you for sure, for certain, whether or not it's clean or not, whether or not it's clean. So this takes us to the $1 million question. Is chicken a clean meat? Because you hear one thing and you hear another thing. So, y'all willing, the facts that I will be presenting in this lesson will show whether or not it's clean, So I pray that it will, because this issue has come up in the Pal Talk room numerous times. And a lot of times it's sort of controversial. It creates a lot of controversy because people, you have people saying this, you have people saying that. So the best way to start is with the scripture. This is the foundation. So we're going to go to Leviticus 11, verses 13 through 19. And it reads, "And these you do abominate among birds. They are not eaten. They are an abomination: the eagle, and the vulture, and the black vulture, and the hawk, and the falcon after its kind, every raven after its kind, and the ostrich, and the nighthawk, and the seagull, and the hawk after its kind, and the little owl, and the fisher owl, and the great owl, and the white owl, and the pelican, and the carrion vulture, and the stork, and the heron after its kind, and the hoopoe, and the bat." And that's in Leviticus 11, 13 through 19. Now, these are the list of unclean birds. These are the birds that we know not to eat. These are the birds that Yah specifically told us these are unclean birds and you are not to consume them. But notice how I underline after its kind. I underline after its kind for a reason, and I will explain that in a little bit. Now, let's go to a second scripture in the Torah that lists the same unclean birds, and I think it add one or two more. This is in Deuteronomy 14, 11 through 20, and it reads, "Any clean bird you do eat, but these you do not eat: the eagle, and the vulture, and the black vulture, and the kite, and the falcon, and the buzzard after their kinds, and the ostrich, and the nighthawk, and the seagull, and the hawk after their kinds, and the little owl, and the great owl, and the white owl. Now, I just want to stop right here with the white owl. Now, if you're reading from the King James Version, it says swan. This is a mistranslation because swan is related to the duck. And I just did just a little scant research on the duck, and it seems that duck is a clean bird. Now, I'm not exactly sure, but according to the little research I did on the duck seems to be a clean bird, and the swan is related to the duck. Okay, let me continue. And the pelican, and the carrion vulture, and the fisher owl, and the stork, and the herring after its kind, and the hoopoe, and the bat. Any clean bird you do eat. Y'all says that again. Any clean bird you do eat. So, now you see that there the clean birds are not listed. Y'all didn't specifically name the clean birds, which we know there, we do know that the Bible mentions birds that were clean as far as the quails, because, they were eaten by the Israelites, and the doves were sacrificed. So we know that those were clean birds. But anyway, I want to get back on the kind. Why I underline kind. Now, it was impossible I'm going to say impossible, but it would have really been a challenge to list all species of animals. So Yah gave us specific traits and characteristics to look for. And that's why it says after its kind. And here's a definition of kind according to the Random House Webster's Dictionary 4th edition. Kind, a class or group of animals, objects, etc., classified on the basis of common traits. So these are common traits after its kind that we can look for as to determine whether or not an animal is clean or unclean. So we can compare, like the animal in question, we compare it to the clean and the unclean animal to see which one is closely related to. So that's why, it says after its kind. So you can compare those common traits and characteristics. So, speaking of classification, let's go to the classification of chicken. Now, this breakdown here is called a scientific classification. And all living beings, this includes plants also, even we as humans, we all have our own classification system. Now, if you in biology class, you would have learned this. The kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. And a way to remember this order is king, place, chess, on, funny, glass, squares. So that's how we just plugged each classification, in with this. So that's how we could remember it. But if you took biology, you would have learned this. So this is the classification of the chicken. Kingdom, Animalia. Phylum, Chordata. Class, Aves. Order, Galliformes. Family, Phasianidae. Genus, Gallus, and species, Gallus. Now, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing these words, but these words are I think they're Latin and Greek, so forgive me if I mispronounce the words, but this is the classification of the chicken. So what I'm going to do is compare the classification of the chicken, the scientific classification of the chicken, to the scientific classification of some clean birds as well as some unclean birds to see which one the chicken is more closely related to. Okay, first I'm going to go to the quail. Now, quail is without question a clean bird. I mentioned quail a little bit earlier. The quail was given by Yah to the Hebrew children in the wilderness because they were tired. They was given to he gave them quail because they were tired of eating the manna. So he gave them the quail to eat, and this can be found in Exodus 16 verses 12 through 13, Numbers 11 verses 31 through 33, and also in Psalms 105 and verse 40. And so this is just a brief